Also, nice frame stop here for myself. Hello! Woohoo! Yeah, welcome to day 9 of my video series of building my own game-sized Fallout mod in the creation kit of Fallout 4, based in Germany. After catching up with the Twitch chat, I sit down to create more assets for world-building purposes, which are electrical boxes as containers from which the player can loot electronical components like fuses, wires, and such. You can see them nearby buildings or tram stations, and I decided to reutilize in-game assets for saving time of implementing new models and textures. After all, if not in the final game, they can still serve as a temporary placeholder, as there is the idea still in the room to make some of them give the player an electrical shock. If you watched the previous episode, you may know I implemented these market store shutters with the truck trailer door. If not, the link is in the info card right now. I decided to further expand on that with the garage door for wider doors, as seen at malls for example, but upon investigating the object I had in mind, I could see that its seams are just terribly misaligned, and this would require a lot of alignment work in the texture file that can be done another time. After all, my priority is to first have these assets at all to begin with. Textures can always be swapped out later. After my weekly mental health walk outside, I accumulated more ideas for street signs you saw in the previous episode. It isn't out yet as I record this, but I wouldn't be surprised to see salty comments about the square-shaped signs. I decided therefore that only if I find enough signs with sufficient usage in the world, it would justify making more textures. And therefore, the pedestrian sidewalk sign is now around again, and more square-shaped sign ideas I had could be implemented, like those frames on the traffic lights. Once that was done, I looked at retexturing the first aid kits. After all, my mod takes place in Germany, therefore it only makes sense to implement it as such by the so-called Bauer AG pharmacy company. You see what I did there, didn't you? Bauer, which means farmer, you know, inspired by Bayer. For the American sector of West Berlin, or should I call it Waste Berlin, we can still use the vanilla ones from the game, and for the East I utilized the toolbox with Gorilla Size German I presented in an earlier episode. Returning from a break, I looked at the Pulowski preservation shelters because I needed another asset, which are advertisement columns. I always wondered why Pulowski didn't use their shelters as such for additional income, but that's fine, as I can do it in my own mod for the Western sector by the new fictitious Dutch comedy called Hail, presenting the Halo, your guardian angel. For the East I decided I would make it propaganda posters on it by a nationalized company, but I haven't had the time yet to actually work on that more in depth, because as previously mentioned, textures can always be adapted. A way higher urgency, however, lied on the subway platforms for Berlin's U-Bahn system, as the rails of it are not aligned in the center of the trackbed. Therefore, I made a version that fixes that for the implementation of the U and S-Bahn of Berlin in the future. I even worked on a wagon a little while, but I figured soon it'd be way too many little intricate parts that would cause a hellhole of lag spikes and loading times, so a 3D designer has to do that for me. Speaking of which, if you're interested in helping out in the project or just have, your daily teaser little update in the Discord server, feel free to join that one. The link is in the description below. Thank you very much for joining. Therefore, I jumped at a different task, which was to look at all the signs in the game that could be reutilized as signs for shops, stores, and markets. They are all in English in the game and usually always maintain the same shape for the same kind of establishment. To shake that up a little and give level designers a more modular way of mix and matching, I made some signs blank and implemented the inscriptions as extra objects of our good old trusted friend Gen Clutter Slime A, that hence can be put in front of these signs or even just walls and such. That gives us a lot of freedom and saves on textures, as we, after all, also have to implement the same for the East German sector in Cyrillic font types. On that topic, I may not have the Gerät yet, but implementing a donor sign was fundamental, that good street food shall not be missed. If you want to spend me a donor, you can join this precious list of cozy subscribers that fund the project to keep it alive. I catch you another time, another day, and always remember.
Der Gerät wird nie müde, der Gerät schläft nie ein, der Gerät ist immer vor der Chef im Geschäft und schneidet das Dönerfleisch schweißfrei.
Outtakes. But upon investigating the object I had in mind, I could see that its seams are just terribly misaligned, and this will require a lot of alignment work in the texture that can be doo-doo. Wider doors, as seen at malls, for example. But upon investigating the object I had in mind, I could see that it seems... No!